I'm walking up to church, and as I'm walking up to church, I swear to God, it's about 50 hoodlums walking down the street. And Monster, they already right there. And all I could do was sit down on a little wall, and I'm hoping that they don't see me, that they don't recognize who I am.
The Rolling 60s, man, A-Trace is mortal enemies. They've killed over 20 of my homies. And we killed over, I'm sure, 27, 28, 9 of them.
Monster Cody did an interview, and he said that he brought somebody's arm, and that was Jay Blake's arm.
You mean to tell me that story is real?
Yes, that was Jay Blake's arm.
Everyone knows Big U earned his stripes both in the streets and the entertainment game, so much so that he's been called the Blue Suge Knight of LA, leaving his mark with force wherever he moved. But long before Big U rose to power, there was another member who showed him and his crew what a real menace looked like, a deadlier monster by the name of Kody.
I think about I walked before him, I said, hey, yo, I got Monster, man. Yeah. I got really good. I pulled him to I said, look, I ain't doing it.
If you rewind to the 70s and 80s, Monster Cody had LA in a chokehold. Chaos trailed him like a shadow wherever he went. The streets felt it. Dude wasn't just a problem. He was the problem, and not the kind you could brush off. While Big U was out here catching heat for petty murders and trying to flex his weight, Kody was already knee-deep in the war zone by 13 or 14. He earned that a monster name the hard way. Trouble wasn't something he found, it was wired into him.
Came from a beating that I had given the guy. He had robbed him, and the dude hit me in the face, and then we chased him, beat him.
But there was one day Big U crossed paths with Monster Cody, and truth be told, if Kody had decided to swing, things could have spiraled fast. It might have been lights out right then and there. Honestly, if Kody had made that move, there might not even be a Big U story to tell today.
Walking up to church, and as I'm walking up to church, I swear to God, it's about 50 hoodlums walking down the street. And Monster.
So how real does this story get? Let's take it back to the 70s. Monster Cody wasn't just a name you said without a tremble in your voice. Even Big U knew what time it was. That's how infamous Kody was back then. From a young age, he ran the streets like they were his personal playground, doing things most boys his age couldn't even fathom. He didn't always get away with it, but one decision would flip his whole life. From bad to straight up worse. Kody got put on with the 8 Trey gangster Crips, largely through his ties with a known member named Trey Ball. At first, he didn't even have a hood name. And since another set already had someone going by Kody, his crew wasn't about to let that slide.
I joined the 8 Trey gangsters when I was 11 years old. For the first year, I was just a wannabe. And I found out early on that it's the most courageous acts of violence, the things that no one else do, that will get you.
On June 15th, 1975, Kody was officially initiated into the 8 Treys. That night, he and 4 other members rolled into Brim territory to handle business. According to Kody himself, that was the night he caught his first body, and from then on, he was locked in, full-time, no turning back. By 1977, he earned the name Monster after brutally stomping a man for nearly 20 minutes, leaving him in a coma. When the cops saw the aftermath, they said whoever did it had to be a monster. The name stuck, and from that day forward...
And he was like maybe 30 at that time. I was like 14, 13, something like that. And I stomped the guy for a long time. I think like 15, 20 minutes. The police came, and they were telling everybody else to see that whoever did this was a monster. And then that just rippled through the crowd. And I came back around later that night. They were saying that the police were calling you a monster. Man, they were calling you a monster, man. And I was like, well, that's what I am.
Between 1977 and 1979, Monster Cody was in and out of juvenile hall, mostly for shootings and assaults. The longest stretch he did during that time was 9 months, but when he got out, the streets weren't the same. The game had shifted. Though at 8 Treys, who once had a solid alliance with the Rolling 60s Crips, had fallen out. What started as a simple fistfight escalated into gunplay, and from there, things spiraled. The point of no return came when a new 8 Trey recruit took out Tyrone, the younger brother of Big Rick, a well-respected Rollin 60s member. That hit changed everything. Neighborhoods that used to ride together were now forced to choose sides. Alliances crumbled, and old friendships turned into full-blown war.
Infamous night. Infamous day that happened. That was March 3rd. That was March 3rd, 1979. Who got killed?
Prior to that, Big Rick brother got killed in March 7th. We had a relationship with him. Then they got into a fight. A guy from 9-0 Gangster, whatever, he ended up shooting Big Rick brother, which is
Monster was all in. Once the war with the Rolling 60s kicked off heavy, he was right in the middle of it. And it wasn't just them, he was already knee-deep in beef with their blood rivals too, hitting sets like
Rolling 660s and the 8 Trey with mortal enemies. They've killed over 20 of my homies. And we killed over, I'm sure, 27, 28, 9 of them.
Around this time, Big U was also starting to make waves in LA's underworld. He was in and out of trouble, but rising fast. As tensions grew, the Rolling 60s recognized him as one of their top enforcers, someone who handled business when it needed to be handled. He had just returned from Chicago, ready to dive headfirst into the conflict, and the streets felt it. The 60s turned up the heat, leaving their own turf to bring chaos into 8 Trey territory. But even with all that pressure, it was nothing compared to what Monster Cody was bringing. In the summer of 1980, Monster's mom asked him to walk with her to her favorite spot, Buddha Market. The only problem? It sat deep in Rolling 60s territory. Sure enough, while they were there, Cody got into a shootout with a 60s member right outside the store. He caught a case for it, but eventually beat it. Then, on July 8th, 1980, just after his girlfriend had given birth to his first child, Monster was on his way to the hospital. While passing through 60s turf, he spotted a known member named Bank Robber. Without hesitation, Monster opened fire, hit him multiple times, and drove off. By then, the war
I have 6 nephews from my sisters, and 4 of them are gone. They died before they even got 19. And then this is Antoine. He was actually murdered by a 60. My son was a 5 Deuce Hoover. Okay, a 60 killed my son. I went to 3 funerals and
At one point, the 60s even kidnapped an 8 Trey member's sister and held her for 3 days, doing some truly graphic messed up things to her. That act alone sparked a whole new level of retaliation. Some 8 Trey gangsters wanted revenge, and not just on anyone, they were gunning for high-profile 60s, like Paywhack Karok Mumbles, and even who were all known shooters from the 60s. They couldn't find them though, so instead they caught another 60s member and went brutal. Chopped him up and even kept his arms as trophies. That was a wild, dark time.